12 years. How does he not know the color of her eyes? Fuck you, Colin. I'm hating this. But at least this one is funny. He's calling her ugly and boring. Like this book. This is a very bad romantic novel, bitch. I think I'll need therapy after this. Oh, girl. Thank God this is a romance and we know they're gonna end up together, because if they didn't, this would be just depressing. Welcome to Coffee and Books with Ella. Today, for my sadness and for your entertainment, I'm just kidding, I put myself into the situations. I think I'm a masochist at this point. We're gonna read one more Bridgerton book. The last one was tough, but we made it through. And today I am a little bit more excited because it's Penelope and Colin's book. And I put myself the goal that I was gonna read that book before season 3 of Bridgerton drop out. I have exactly one day to read this. So let's go. And I'm sorry for my hair. I don't know what is going on. So the name of the book is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. And I don't know, I don't like that name. I think it should be romanticizing. I don't know. I just like hating things. Today we have the Kindle. Last book I had to read on the computer because it wasn't passing to my Kindle, the fucking document, and I was mad. But today we have the pretty cover. Okay, let's start this shit. Mr. Bridgerton. To become okay, Colin is my favorite Bridgerton so far. This is iced coffee. You know what is the temperature outside? I'm gonna tell you. Let me see. 15 Celsius. I don't fucking know what is that in Fahrenheit. I had to learn that in physics. It was traumatizing. So I just, nothing out here. Nothing. It's not that cold, but I'm cold. And this is iced coffee. But again, masochist. Okay, let's start this. I can't just, keep dragging this about. This is a 16 hours. Okay.
Shook. Her heart leaped. The moment was breathtaking, and she was able to tell.
Wait. Oh, okay. Wasn't finding it. I read with the font dyslexic. Pretty accurate.
Colin.
The 6th of April in the year 1812, precisely 2 days before her 16th birthday, Penelope Featherington fell in love. Thus, in a word, thrilling. The world shook. Her heart leaped. The moment was breathtaking. I don't think that's accurate to falling in love, but okay, maybe it was love at first sight. And she was able to tell herself with some satisfaction, the man in question, one Colin Bridgerton. I don't like the name Colin. Why Colin? Why not Carlos? Or I guess it's difficult, for you to name your kids in alphabetical order, because it's gonna get a letter that there are just bad names in it. I'm sorry if your name is Colin. Felt precisely the same way. Oh, not the love part. He certainly didn't fall in love with her in 1812, and not in 1813, 14, 15, or, oh, blessed, knowing all the years, 1816 to 1822, when he was out of the country the whole time, anyway. But his earth shook, his heart leapt, and Penelope knew, without a shadow of doubt, that his breath was taken away as well, for a good 10 seconds. That's it, girl. Expect the minimum. I have a question. Where does the Bridgerton money come from? Because, okay, we have Edmund and Violet. Edmund, so no money to be spent with him, although I think funerals at that time were expensive. So we have 8 kids, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. 10 kids? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, 9 kids. Anthony, Benedict, I'm bad at math. Colin, Daphne, Eloise, okay, Eloise, Francesca, Gregory, is 8. So 9 with her. So we have 9 people. But each of them, like, he married Kate. But I don't think Kate was that rich. I want to know where the money come from. How do they get that much money? This is boring. Penelope fell in love with Colin when he fell off a horse into mud. I don't blame her. He's hot, so it's just a bit stupid. I'm sorry if you hear noises, but my dog likes to play with himself while I do videos. On the 10th of April in the year 1813, precisely 2 days after her 17th birthday, Penelope Featherington made her debut into London society. She hadn't wanted to do it. She begged her mother to let her wait a year. She was at least 2 stone heavier than she ought to be, and her face still had an awful tendency to develop spots whenever she was nervous, which meant that she always had spots, since nothing in the world could make her as nervous as a London beau. So she was fat and she had acne. Okay, pretty accurate for a 17-year-old to have acne. Okay. This is so sad. There was nothing more depressing than an ugly girl with no personality. Penelope. That is so sad. I'm sorry. What am I reading? This is so mean. Okay, we're not supposed to know that Penelope is a lady whistle down, but I watched the TV show, so I know that is her. So, first appearance in a Ladies Whistle Down Society paper went as follows. Miss Penelope Featherington's unfortunate gown left the unfortunate girl looking like nothing more than an overripe citrus fruit. A rather stunning blow, to be sure, but nothing less than the truth. Her second appearance in the column was no better. Not a word has heard from Miss Penelope Featherington, and no wonder the poor girl appeared to have drowned amidst the ruffles of her dress. If Penelope thought she loved him before, that was nothing compared to what she felt after actually getting to know him. Colin Bridgerton was witty. I like witty, man. He was dashing. He had a devil-may-care jokester quality to him that made women swoon. But most of all, Colin Bridgerton was nice. That's so difficult. My dog wants a huggy. Look, he's the prettiest boy on earth. Yes, you are. I'm gonna call you Colin. No, I will not. His name is Bernardo. Nebe. Okay. That is tough, because no one is ever nice to Penelope. And then she falls in love with a boy that is nice. And that's understandable. And that's, that is very tough. Oh, okay. She's like so bad in love with him. I don't like this very much. But like, This was love. Oh, this was love, 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 love. Not joking. There's many loves here. A silly repetition of words, perhaps, but that was precisely what Penelope dawdled on a ridiculously expensive sheet of paper, along with the words Mr. Colin Bridgerton and Penelope Bridgerton, and Colin, Colin, Colin. The paper went into the fire the moment Penelope heard footsteps on the wall. That is very silly. But I guess people can kind of identify with that. I don't know. Never did that. It helped that she lost nearly 2 stone and could now call herself pleasantly rounded rather than a hideous pudge. She was still nowhere near to the slender ideal of womanhood that ruled the day, but at least she changed enough to warrant the purchase of a completely new wardrobe. Okay, I don't know. If they make her lose weight, take out the glasses, and find a man, I'm gonna get furious. And I'm certainly not going to marry Penelope Featherington. Oh, the words slipped over her lips before she could even think. The sequel of it piercing the air like an off-key whistle. The 3 Bridgerton men turned to face her with identical horrified faces, and Penelope knew that she had just entered into what would certainly be the most awful 5 minutes of her life. She said nothing for what seems like an eternity. And then finally, with dignity she never dreamed she possessed, Jesus fucking Christ, possessed, she looked straight at Colin and said, I never asked you to marry me. Eat him up, bitch. His cheeks went from pink to red. He opened his mouth, but not a sound came out. It was Penelope, thought with satisfaction. Probably the only time in his life he'd ever been at loss of words. And I never, she swallowed convulsively. Julia Quinn says these words many times. I never said to anyone that I wanted you to ask me. Penelope, Colin finally managed. I'm so sorry. You have nothing to apologize for, she said. No, he insisted. I do. I heard your feelings and you didn't. No, I was there. But nevertheless, you're not going to marry me, she said, her voice sounding very strange and hollow to her ears. There's nothing wrong with that. I am not going to marry your brother Benedict. Benedict had clearly been trying to not look, but he snapped to attention at that. Penelope fisted her hands at her sides. It doesn't hurt his feelings when I announce that I'm not going to marry him. She turned to Benedict, forcing her eyes directly on his. Does it, Mr. Bridgerton? Of course not, Benedict answered quickly. It's settled then, she said tightly, amazed that for once exactly the right words were coming out of her mouth. I think she's getting more confident after being Lady Whistledown. No feelings were hurt. Now, then, if you will excuse me, gentlemen, I should like to go home. And then Anthony takes her home. We had this scene at the end of the last book. Why are we repeating this? No idea. Okay, this is a Lady Whistledown society paper. Such excitement yesterday on the front steps of Lady Bridgerton's residence on Broughton Street. First, Penelope Featherington was seen in the company of not 1, but 2, but 3 scandalous Bridgerton brothers. Surely, heretofore impossible feat for the poor girl, who is rather infamous for her wallflower ways. Sadly, but perhaps predictably, for Miss Featherington, when she finally depart, it was on the arms of Viscount, the only married man of the bunch. If Miss Featherington were to somehow manage to drag a Bridgerton brother to the altar, it would surely mean the end of the world as we know it. And this author, who freely admits she would not know heads from tails in such a world, would be forced to resign her post on the spot. It seems even Lady Whistledown understood the faculty of Penelope's feelings for Colin. Yeah, because you're fucking Lady Whistledown. Duh. We had an incident. Fuck. Well, I cleaned the mess I made and I got cold, so we're keeping this on. My apartment is extremely cold. And look how cute it is. There's balls. You're supposed to put your hand here. Oh yeah, we are continuing it. I like this outfit. Look, it is a cat, I think, but it looks more like a bunny. He wasn't surprised that she never attracted any serious suitors for her hand. She wasn't a beauty by any stretch. This is like Darcy calling a girl poor. Although, upon close examination, oh my god, close examination, she was more attracted than he remembered. Oh, this is so bad. He remembered her to be. Her brown hair had a touch of red to it, highlighted nicely by the nickering candles, and her skin was quite lovely. What a nice compliment. Oh, your skin is lovely. The perfect peaches and cream complexion that ladies were always lathering their faces with arsenic to achieve. But I'm sorry. Okay. But Penelope's attractiveness. But Penelope's attractiveness wasn't the sort that men usually notice. He's calling her ugly, and her normally shy and occasionally even stuttering demeanor. I don't know how to say this. Didn't exactly showcase her personality. So he's calling her ugly and boring, like this book. I'm hating this. But at least this one is funny. This is not fucking romantic. Penelope Featherington, I think you should dance with me. And then Penelope surprised him by laughing and saying, "That's very sweet of you to ask, but you don't have to dance with me any longer." His pride felt oddly pricked. "What the devil do you mean by that?" She shrugged. "It's official now. I'm a spinster. There is no longer a reason to dance with me, just so I don't feel left out." "That's not why I danced with you," he protested, but he knew that was exactly the reason, and half the time he'd only remembered to ask because his mother had poked him hard in the back and reminded him, "This is not romantic." No, I don't know. Can someone punch Colin in the face? Or in the balls? Personally, I'm questioning my sanity after reading these books. I'm not joking. I think I will admit myself into a mental asylum. I don't know. I feel stupid. This book's so stupid that every minute that I spend reading this takes a year of my life and intelligence, mentally and physically. He was insufferable, but Penelope wasn't going to say so because it would only make her sound like a character in a very bad romantic novel. She'd read one just the other day in which the heroine used the word or one of its synonyms on every other page, like she swallowed convulsively and I burned for you. You say those words every time. What the fuck? Is this an autocritic? I think it is. The love of God. Okay, in the books, nobody likes Lady Danbury, which is like outrageous. Penelope says, nice seeing you. Nobody ever thinks it's nice to see me, Lady Danbury said sharply. Except maybe my nephew, and half the time I'm not even sure about him. But thank you for lying all the same. I want to be like this when I grow up. I like Lady Danbury. It's always impolite to talk about money mixed company, or no. But when one is my age, one can do anything one pleases. I do wonder what one can do at your age. She says she likes Penelope many times. And then she says, I do believe I couldn't get away with murder, but that might be all. Love old ladies. Except my neighbor, she stole my water. Really, I'm gonna tell this story. So here in Brazil, the whole city, my city, has no water because of a flood. And the city is like chaos. My mom, she works in an ambulance. So she is like on the front line helping everyone. And we have no water. It's been like a week because of the flood. So we were collecting water from the rain. Thank God, my house, everything's fine. We just have no water. We have electricity. And as we live in apartments, it was not floated by the water. And so it was raining really hard. And we put buckets on like outside so we would get water, and our neighbor stole our buckets of water. So my mom knocked on their door and they were like, that's my fucking water, you bitch, give me back. So I like old ladies, except my neighbor. Okay, I hate when this happens. Miss Featherington, didn't see you there. Who says this in real life? Like, is Colin, Penelope, Miss Danbury talking, and then a guy approaches the group and he says, didn't see you there. Are you fucking blind? I hate this. I hate when this happens. I have an idea, she said. Someone gasped, someone groaned. A brilliant idea. This is me every time I have an idea. Not that any of your ideas are anything but, Colin murmured in his most affable voice. Lady Danbury shushed him with a wave of her hand. How many great mysteries are there in life, really? No one answers, so Colin gasped. 42? She didn't even bother to scroll at him. I am telling you, all here and now. Everyone leaned in, even Colin. It was impossible not to indulge the drama of the moment. You are all my witnesses. Colin thought he heard Penelope mutter, get on with it. 1,000 pounds, Lady Danbury said. The crowd surrounded her grill. 1,000 pounds, she repeated, her voice growing volume. Really? she would have been a natural on stage. 1,000 pounds. It seems the entire ballroom had rushed into reverent silence to the person who unmasks Lady Whistledown. Okay, so it's been 10 motherfucking years since Lady Whistledown appeared. You people are stupid. I would make my life to find out who is doing this. I would be obsessed. I would be the most annoying person on earth trying to find who this bitch is. I am very curious to know what's gonna happen on this TV show. Because there's no, like, years of gap. Okay, so this is a very important part, I think, which is Lady Danbury saying, isn't it nice to discover that we are not exactly what we thought we were? Maybe, just maybe, she was something a little bit more. Okay, they are about to dance, like, in the main square, and then people will think you're courting me. He watched her closely, not understanding why she was disturbed. Who cared if people thought they were courting? The rumor would soon be proven false, and they would have a good laugh at society's expense. It was on the tip of his tongue to say, hang society. But he held silent. There was something looking deep in the brown depths of her eyes, some emotion he couldn't even begin to identify, an emotion he suspected he'd never even felt. And he realized that the last thing he wanted to do was hurt Penelope. She was his sister's best friend, and moreover, she was, plain and simple, a very nice girl. But he censored that Penelope's feeling depended on his next words, and at some point in the last 10 minutes, her feelings had become very important to him. They are friends for years. Her feelings are just important in the last 10 minutes. She looked quite adorably confused, which confused him, since he'd never thought Penelope the least bit adorable. I am all into enemies to lovers, okay? But this is friends to lovers. This should not be happening. Okay, I've seen a lot of jokes about this, but I do love my family, but I really just go for the food. Jokes on TikTok saying that he is just there for food. Something that kind of pisses me off is that the Lady Whistledown part is always like ahead of the chapter that we're getting into. I don't know, that just seems like a little bit anticlimactic. I don't know, not anticlimactic, but just like weird. Okay, Penelope is very smart because she is kind of like trying to find out who Lady Whistledown is, even though like it's her, so she's like just pissing herself off the suspect list, so that's very clever. Sexist. I've often thought it foolish that a man asks a woman's father for her hand before he asks her. The father doesn't have to live with him, said Eloise. This attitude, Colin said with an amused smile that was only partially hidden by his teacup, may explain why you are yet unmarried. Fuck you, Colin. He was asked to marry by 6 people, and she said no. No one asked Penelope, but Penelope said that even if someone asked, she wouldn't say yes because her heart belongs to Colin. Oh, girl. Thank God this is a romance and we know they're gonna end up together, because if they didn't, this would be just depressing. Hyacinth for me is like, I can only picture the actress that I casted. I think that was a really great cast. I can even imagine her voice for some reason. I don't know, I just feel like that was a really great casting. Why am I... Look! I am very pink. That is strange. I think Lady Bridgerton should have been Lady Whistledown. because that woman, she knows the gossip. She literally knows the tea. Oh, I should have done tea for the Bridgerton series. Ooh, I'm gonna do that on the next video. Okay, so Penelope read a page of Colin's journal, and then he cut his hand, and then she is trying to, you know, fix that up. And it is in the trailer. The scene is in the trailer, so that is very fun. But I still prefer the TV show, and I rarely say that. Is Colin's only trace of personality eating and being stupid for not realizing that Penelope is in love with him? He'd always liked Penelope, but how was it he'd never realized how intelligent she was up until now? Wow, she's so intelligent. She put a piece of cloth around my wound. Give her a medical degree. What the How was it possible he'd never noticed how big her eyes were? He'd known they were brown, of course, and no, come to think of it, if he weren't to be honest with himself, he would have to admit that if you asked earlier this morning, he'd not have been able to identify the color of her eyes. They known each other for 12 years. How does he not know the color of her eyes? I think I'll need therapy after this. More than I already need. I think it's very funny because Penelope is complimenting his writing, but is actually Julia's Queen writing, so she is actually complimenting herself. And I found this very funny. We've got tea. Okay, so Penelope says that her favorite thing about his writing is that it seems like he actually enjoys doing it. And then he says like, oh my god, I enjoy doing it. And they begin falling in love. After 10 years of her just being there, it was rather bizarre for her to matter quite so much. I hate Colin. That was my favorite character so far. Now he's just annoying. One of the best things about this book is Lady Danbury and Penelope's relationship. It's so cute. They are so like good together. They understand each other, and I don't know, I hope they put that on the TV show. A big part of this book is discovering who Lady Whistledown is, and I already know, so that part is a bit boring, but I don't blame the book. I blame myself for watching the show first. Penelope says that Colin should publish his book, and then he says that nobody's gonna read it, and then she says that she would read it, the whole Bridgerton family will read it, and then he says, well, what is the point if only people I know are going to read? And then she says, well, you know a lot of people, and I get that because I write books and I publish them. Nobody reads it, but it's out there somewhere. So I liked that little part. Okay, this was actually funny. So they are keeping a secret that Colin writes, and then Eloise see them talking. And then Colin, she's bothering them, and Colin says, do you know what you need? Colin asked. Me? Eloise quite carried. He nodded. A husband. It's like, shut up, woman. You know what I don't like about this is that Penelope is already in love with Colin, and I like the process of the person falling in love, but she's already in love, so that's boring. Okay. I'm invested now. No, hear me out. Suppose I told everyone that I had seduced you. Penelope grew very, very still. You would be ruined forever, he continued, crouching down near the edge of the sofa so that they were more on the same level. It wouldn't matter that we had never even kissed, that my dear That, my dear Penelope, is the power of the word. She looked oddly frozen and at the same time flushed. I don't know what to say, she stammered. And then the most bizarre thing happened. He realized that he didn't know what to say either, because he'd forgotten about rumors, the power of the word, and all of that rot. And the only thing he could think was the part about kissing and God, good in heaven. He wanted to kiss Penelope Featherington. They act like she's a monster. He might as well have said he wanted to kiss her sister. Incest. Except he stole a glaze at her. She looked uncommonly fetching, and he wondered how he hadn't noticed that earlier that afternoon she wasn't his sister. She definitely wasn't his sister. How was it he'd never noticed what an intriguing shade of brown they were? That's the second time he said her eyes are fucking brown, almost gold near the pupil. He'd never seen anything like it, and yet it wasn't as if he hadn't seen her 100 times before. He stood, suddenly drunkenly, best if they weren't quite on the same latitude, harder to see her eyes from up there. She stood too. Damn it. Colin, she asked, her voice barely audible. Could I ask you a favor? Call it a male intuition, call it insanity, but a very instant voice inside of him was screaming at whatever she wanted had to be. What the fuck am I reading? But a very insistent voice inside of him was screaming that whatever she wanted had to be a very bad idea. He was, however, an idiot. Yes. He had to be, because he felt his lips part, and then he heard a voice that sounded an awful lot like his own say, of course. Her lips puckered, and for a moment he thought she was trying to kiss him, but then he realized that she was just bringing them together to form the word would. Just a word. Nothing but a word beginning with W. W always looks like a kiss. Would you kiss me? End of the chapter. Okay, sorry. I like romance. Sue me. Okay, so I'm gonna lie down to read the rest of this, and tomorrow when I finish, I'm gonna come back here and do the same thing I'm doing right now, but I'm doing as I'm reading it. So I'm just gonna save the part and read to you, and then say my thoughts, and then you can tell me if you prefer me reading together with you and showing my reaction, or after. It's 1:15 in the morning. I just finished it. And in less than 3 hours, season 3 will drop on Netflix. I'm gonna watch the first 4 episodes. Come here, talk about the book. I finished this shit. I was gonna do exactly as I did last video, where I would read the lines, but I was so pissed off with this and anxious to watch the TV show, so I just finished reading and I'm gonna tell my thoughts now. There were so many times where Colin would get mad at Penelope and he would hold her arm so hard she would be in fucking pain. There were parts where he said he wanted to hit her and kill her. And this is not a dark romance. This is supposed to be a cute romance of the Regency era. This was so fucking messed up. I watched the first 4 episodes of season 3 of Bridgerton. The TV show does an amazing job. I was a bit mad because there were so many nucleos of people to focus on. And Penelope and Colin kind of, got lost on the way. The only good scenes in this book were their first time where Colin says he wants to marry her. They kiss, there are hands there, and it's in a carriage, so it's very cute, very romantic. And their first kiss, where he asks for her to, where she asks him to kiss her because she is 28 and she never kissed a boy, and she's probably gonna be a spinster and never kiss anyone ever. Those scenes were cute. All the rest, horrible. Cressida, which they are trying on the show to give like a redemption arc, she's a bitch, and she tries to convince everyone that she's Lady Whistledown, and that is fucked up. And then Penelope retires, but then she comes back one last time to say that she is not Cressida, and then Cressida realizes that it's Penelope and there is blackmail going on there. And then Colin, on one of the Daphne balls, tells everyone that he's in love with Penelope and that he's also in love with Lady Whistledown. That was a very cute scene. The carriage scene has in the TV show way before, because in that scene he just realized that Penelope is Lady Whistledown, so there was not a part. I think on the show Eloise is gonna tell him, and I'm not excited for that because in the book they are very close. Penelope and Eloise never fight, and she is not even there on the revelation. She is with Sir Philip. So there is that. I think the show does something very good. They get all the good things in this book and they adapt to the show, and all the bullshit they throw out the window. The show is way better than this. Don't waste your precious time reading this. It's bullshit. Okay, the TV show, way better. And if one day I become famous and I want to audition for this shit, if you don't know I'm an actress, I know they're gonna say no because I'm talking shit about the book. But it was not as bad as Benedict's book. And I really like Benedict on the show. But his book was painful to read. This was also painful. But I think, so my top would be, first place, The Viscount and I. Second place, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. Third place, what is the name of Benedict's book? I don't remember. An Offer from a Gentleman. And then in fourth, The Duke and I. Because The Duke and I was really painful to read. I think it's because I read the first book in Portuguese. I did not read in English. And maybe that's on me. I will not read again. I'm so sorry, I will not read again. Oh, so one of the other problems that I have with this book is that Colin is so manipulative. Because he knows the effect that he has on Penelope. So he uses that. He uses his charm. And it's so... I can't. It's just bad. It's just bad in every way. This is just unhingedly fucking horrible. This is unhinged. This is upsetting. I can't. The next book we're reading is gonna be The Dixon Rule, the spin-off of Elf Campus, so I'm very excited for that one. Thank God I need a break from this series. And I'm sorry if you did not like this way where I just tell what happens. If you prefer me reading passages of the book and telling at the same time, please comment here. I'm just beginning to make these videos and I'm not sure exactly which way is better for you as an audience and for me as a creator. I thought I could just, read the end and then just read the passages again, but then it got all confusing and way more difficult than it should be. So I will continue in the next video, but please tell me your input here on the comments. Love you all. Bye, bitches.